transforming into anyone, and frightening people in every form. These aren't just stories about ghosts, they're real recordings. Filmed by real people who saw something and kept the footage. So, let's watch these chilling, ghostly encounters that will leave you stunned. A girl home alone was chatting with her friend on Zoom. The room was calm, and everything felt normal. Then her friend leaned closer to the screen and said, "Is someone standing behind you?" She turned her head slowly. Near the door, a small figure was visible in the dim light. It looked like a child, but the face was too blurry to recognize. Before the girl could even speak, the figure rushed into the room at an unnatural speed and slammed the door shut. She sat there frozen, her hands shaking. Her chest felt tight. Something had entered the room, and deep down, she knew it wasn't just a child. Kid ghost. A man had been living with a growing fear, one that returned every morning just before sunrise. At the same time each day, loud knocks echoed through his home, always from the front door. He started to believe it wasn't just noise, but something connected to the house's past. People had told him stories about a child who once lived there, a boy who never got to grow up. One morning, the knocks came again, but this time, when he looked through the window, he saw a small figure standing outside. He slowly opened the door, but the space was empty. The figure had vanished without a sound, leaving only the quiet and the feeling that something had been there. Strange mirror ghost. A video went viral for capturing something no one could explain. A boy sat calmly in front of a mirror, looking around as if nothing was wrong. But the reflection didn't follow. It stayed perfectly still, not matching his movements. Then, the eyes in the mirror turned pitch black for a few seconds before returning to normal. The boy didn't seem to notice, but the moment was caught clearly on camera. Many who watched the clip believed it wasn't just a glitch. Something strange had taken over the reflection. A mirror ghost, as some now call it. Moving things. A child stood beside his mother in the kitchen as they began preparing breakfast. Everything seemed normal until a cereal box suddenly lifted and dropped without warning. No one had touched it. Before they could react, more items began shifting on their own. A cloth from another room floated into the kitchen, twisting in the air before landing silently on the floor.
Stop me, don't shout, just be quiet! Oh my God!
The movement didn't stop for several seconds. What had moved those things remained unseen, leaving behind only quiet and confusion. Ghostly child.
Assalamualaikum!
It's always the kids these spirits come for. When a father went to check in on his son, joyfully playing alone in the room, he noticed that he actually was not alone. Only two hands were moving near the child, clapping and tapping, but no full person was there.
Papa,
He rushed towards his son in panic, but by the time he reached, nothing remained. The strange feeling in the room didn't leave so easily. Creepy ghost.
Get up here, Carly!
The backyard was full of laughter as two kids played freely under the evening sky. Their parents stood nearby, filming the fun to save the memory. But when they watched the video later, Something didn't feel right. The little girl, seen giggling in the clip, seemed to be facing someone, yet no one else was there.
Get up here, Carly!
A closer look revealed a pale shape beside her, with a long arm stretching unnaturally close to her face. It didn't look like a person at all. The parents rushed over that moment, but found nothing around. Whatever had appeared vanished as quickly as it came. Dark ghost. During a live stream inside a forgotten house, one man's curiosity led him to an old bathroom. As his camera swept across the room, a strange shape caught his eye. A small figure tucked behind the wall. Thinking it might be a lighting glitch, he stepped in for a closer look. But the figure didn't fade. It sharpened. A child crouched low, eyes locked on him. The moment he moved toward it, the child disappeared without a sound. Viewers flooded the chat with disbelief, but the figure never returned. To this day, no one can explain what the camera captured that night. 2 girls in room. Most people wouldn't dare step foot inside that house. But he did. Drawn by curiosity, he wandered through its quiet, dusty rooms, camera in hand. Everything felt still until something unusual appeared on his screen. 2 young girls standing side by side, completely motionless. He looked away just for a second, and when he looked back, the room was empty. No movement, no sound, nothing. The image stayed with him. Some think they were ghosts, others say they had a purpose. Whatever the truth is, that moment made the old house feel far less empty. Scary conversation.
Who are you talking to?
Edward.
Who's Edward?
It was a quiet evening when the father heard soft talking coming from his son's room. To his surprise, as he opened the door, he saw the boy sitting alone, facing the closet, whispering to someone.
This dude's actually just sat like he's...
When asked who he was talking to, the boy calmly mentioned someone who stood by the closet every night. He glanced at the closet, then without saying a word, turned and ran downstairs to bring his mother, who eventually confirmed her son talks to his imaginary friend.
Nope. Nope.
Guardian angel. It all started with a soft alert from the baby monitor that made a lady check the footage. Her baby was sleeping. Nothing seemed wrong at first. But then, the blanket slid over the baby's face. Just when things looked worrying, something gentle happened. It didn't just happen once. Each time the fabric covered the face, it was pulled away again. Then it was tucked softly around the baby's feet. The movements were calm, steady, and careful. To the lady watching, it didn't feel random. She believes a guardian angel was present in that room, silently protecting the baby through the night when no one else could. Hidden ghost. A man noticed soft, strange sounds coming from the basement late at night. As he stepped closer, the basement door slowly opened without anyone touching it. Curious, he decided to check. That's when he spotted a child-sized shadow peeking out from behind the wall.
Oh, there he is.
But the moment he moved forward, it vanished. He searched carefully, but it kept reappearing, this time from another wall, then another. It never made a sound, never fully showed itself, just a shadow, always out of reach. No matter how many times he circled the space, the figure remained hidden, never letting itself be found. Haunted house activity. While adjusting a light fixture on the ceiling, a man stood on a chair, focused on the task. The house was quiet, nothing out of the ordinary, until something strange caught his eye. Just beside the wall near him, a face slowly began to appear. It wasn't someone he recognized, and it didn't move like a person should. The shape seemed to press through the surface, watching him without a sound. Shocked, he quickly stepped down and backed away. The room felt colder. No one else was inside, and no signs of a joke were ever found. What that face was remains a mystery. Demonic girl. Something about this video makes people pause, and then replay it in disbelief. It shows a young girl standing quietly outside a door, her expression unreadable, almost distant. Inside, a woman reaches out gently, trying to guide her in. But just as a few people walk closer to get a better look, the girl vanishes. No footsteps, no movement, just gone. There's no sign she was ever there. The silence that follows feels heavier than before, and those who witness the clip can't help but wonder if they saw something real or something far beyond understanding. Possessed lady. A group of friends decided to explore an old abandoned house out of curiosity. As they walked through the hallway, one of the girls suddenly paused, grabbing her head in discomfort. She sat down, clearly in pain, but then something changed. Her body began to rock back and forth in a strange rhythm. Her face no longer looked the same. And her voice turned into loud, eerie sounds that didn't seem like her own. The group stood frozen, unsure of what to do. That moment left them shaken in ways they never expected. Demonic shadow. She was focused on finishing her video, standing in front of the mirror with her phone recording. The room stayed quiet, with no signs of anything strange. But then, something shifted in the reflection. A dark shape moved behind her. Only in the mirror, not in real space. There was no sound, no clear figure. Just a shadow passing through the background. She paused for a moment, then quickly turned and rushed out of the room. Leaving the recording still running. When the clip was later played back, the shadow was clearly there, moving without any reason or source. Nothing else was found. Moving chair. Late into the evening, a babysitter sat calmly on the couch, the child nearby, and the house silent. But something shifted. The chair next to her began to rock, as if someone invisible had just taken a seat. She stared at it, hoping it was just her eyes playing tricks. She called the child over, but he was too far to have touched it.
Liam, come here. Liam, right now.
She quickly called the mother. When she arrived, the chair was still. No answers, no clues, just the memory that no one could explain, no matter how hard they tried. Laughing ghost. A boy was home alone at night when he heard strange noises coming from the kitchen. They were loud, playful, and completely unexpected. Curious and slightly uneasy, he walked in to check. That's when he saw it. A small child hiding behind the shelf. But before he could move closer, the figure vanished right before her eyes. Calling it a figure might be wrong, as it looked like a little boy. But where did that boy went? That's something not the homeowner or the online spectators could understand. If you have an opinion, let me know in the comments below. Terrifying ghost.
What? There's something that what?
This family have been having ghost encounters since the first day they moved in, but never knew they would increase to this extent. The little boy spotted something strange standing at the door and was extremely terrified. There was an eerie black figure standing on the right door. The mother, being surprisingly calm, as if this was not the first time, gently closed the door and sat again with her son.
It's okay. Be quiet.
But the door slowly opened again, with no visible source this time. The video ends there, but let's just hope both of them are safe.
Go in, this is my house. You're not allowed. Jacob.
Ouija Entity. What began as a fun night quickly turned into something the girl would never forget. While playing Ouija with her friend, she didn't realize when she'd gone too far and made contact with an evil spirit. It was after she closed the board, she noticed the dark figure in one of the room. It stood right outside as if waiting for the girl. Running upstairs when the girl thought she'd finally get rid of it, she heard loud banging, and the same figure was there again. The girls eventually had to call officials to come and help her. Heavy footsteps.
Oh my God!
Everything was peaceful that evening, until a strange noise echoed from the basement. The couple tried to ignore it, but it only grew louder, more persistent. Unable to stay still, the man grabbed his phone and began streaming as he went to check it out. The basement looked normal at first, quiet and still, but just when he turned to head back, heavy footsteps thudded behind him.
Oh my God!
He spun around, breath held, but the space was empty. No shadows, no movement. Rattled, he hurried upstairs. The sound stayed with him, replaying in his head long after the live stream came to an end. Girl spirit. They only wanted a thrill, but what they found inside that old house left them shaken. As they wandered through the dim, creaky corridors, one man froze. Something was peeking from behind a wall. It was a little girl, her skin ghostly white, slowly stepped forward without a sound. The group stood frozen, unsure if they were looking at a spirit or a trick of the light. The air turned icy. Without a word, they bolted for the door. But no distance could erase that silent figure from their memory. It followed them in thought long after they fled. Strange shadow. This mother had just started recording, wanting to capture a sweet moment of her husband holding their little girl near the fire. Suddenly, she caught something strange. It looked like someone else was dancing with them too. Though the exact identification is hard to make due to the distorted figure, it looked like a ghost. Thankfully, even if it was, it did not harm the family. Which caught on cam. A creepy video posted on Facebook has been spreading fast, and it's not hard to see why. On the night of 22nd February 2016, a man was riding his motorcycle alone. The road was quiet, the air still. But suddenly, a woman in white appeared out of nowhere, standing right in front of him. Before he could react, she vanished. Thinking he imagined it, he stopped to look around. That's when she showed up again, this time even closer. Scared, he left his bike and ran. Villagers nearby heard him screaming and came to help. Though he recovered physically, something in his mind had changed forever. Caught on cam. The night had been quiet, just like any other. A man was fast asleep in his bed, breathing calmly under the dim light of the room. But then, something odd happened. The curtains near the window started swaying gently, even though no breeze could have entered. A faint white shape appeared beside them, like a blur that didn't belong there. That's when the man began to twitch. His arms raised awkwardly toward his pillow, and his body shifted like he was struggling in a dream. He suddenly woke up, touching his head like it hurt. He sat still, looking confused, then slowly got out of bed and walked away. When he watched the footage later, he couldn't make sense of it either. Dark entity. This boy entered the house, went out to grab water, and came back to witness a really strange encounter. In an instant, the man was grabbed and pulled forward by an unseen dark force. The video showed a brief struggle, and then nothing. He was gone. Viewers were left stunned, unable to explain what they'd seen. The figure never reappeared. No one knows where the man went, but hopefully, whatever reached out from that darkness let him go unharmed. Behind curtains.
Yo.
During a quiet night walk, the man found himself slowing down near an old, worn-down house. A faint sound caught his attention. Something soft, almost like a whisper. He raised his flashlight toward one of the windows. There, behind a thin curtain, was a figure, pale, still, and strangely lifeless. The face looked human, but not quite right. No movement, no blink. Just a quiet stare that didn't break. The house seemed long abandoned, yet that presence remained. It didn't belong there. Possessed date.
That's fine. Yeah.
It started off as a normal date, but as they talked, something about the girl felt off. Her voice deepened slightly, losing its usual tone. Then, leaning in closer, she softly said, "I'm possessed."
Yeah,
That's a great
so
spot.
good.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What is that you do?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm possessed.
And then eerily asked the boy if he has a problem with that. As if he had a choice. Not being able to leave, the boy kept recording as if wanting to keep a proof of what he was witnessing. Was she really under some dark influence? Or had the date just taken a twisted, unexplainable turn? Peeking girl. Strolling past a crumbling building near the edge of the woods, a man caught sight of something unusual. Just beyond the corner, a small pale face peeked out from behind a wall. It looked like a young girl, frozen in place, eyes fixed directly on him. Startled, he hesitated before inching closer, hoping to get a clearer view. But when he reached the spot, the space was empty. It was as if the figure had never been there at all, just a silent glimpse of something not meant to be found. Farm mystery. A quiet farm had a security camera set up to keep watch over the animals. For the most part, the footage was always normal. Until one evening, something odd appeared. Near the old well, a small figure sat still. At first, it looked like a child, but something didn't feel right. The eyes glowed unnaturally as it turned to face the camera, not blinking once. A heavy stillness filled the frame. Then, without warning, the figure faded, slowly disappearing into thin air, leaving no clue of its tracks. Creepy, staring shadow. Late one night, a man kept hearing odd sounds from just beyond his window. Soft shuffling, like someone walking close to the wall. Curious and a little uneasy, he stepped outside with his phone to check. What he saw stopped him in his tracks. Two dark shapes stood near the edge of his yard. One was still, tall, and had a single glowing eye. It stayed fixed on him. He felt watched, but couldn't explain why. Moments later, both shapes faded into the dark, leaving only silence behind. Mirror horror. When this woman leaned forward in a mirror, it was as if she found her evil twin, but the reflection didn't match her movements. Her eyes in the mirror shifted oddly, not following the way her real ones moved. It was as if the reflection had a life of its own. People who watch the video, though, find it hard to believe, but are convinced that the mirror contained some demonic powers. Ghost play. This room's CCTV recorded 3 girls that were playing in the lounge while their parents were out. One of them was in the hallway, holding something small in her hand. Suddenly, she started floating in the air, as if something invisible had lifted her up. The other 2 girls screamed and ran. Just as fast as it started, it stopped, and she landed on the floor. Later, when their parents watched the security footage, they were sure the girl was possessed. Tik Tok horror? It started off lighthearted, a couple dancing and laughing while recording a short video inside their home. Everything felt normal until the door behind them flew open and a tall, shadowy figure appeared in the doorway. Without waiting another second, they ran outside. Later, even after checking the footage again, they couldn't explain what they saw. No one was found around the house, and they were home alone, so it couldn't be a plan. Dark kitchen ghost. Everything felt calm that evening as 2 little girls sat together at a small table, playing and chatting. But then, something pulled one girl's eyes toward the dark kitchen. Her face changed. What started as a normal moment quickly turned into quiet fear. Even though her mother, holding the camera, tried to explain, the girl couldn't look away. She began to cry. Her friend giggled at first, unsure what was happening, until she glanced back too. Suddenly, both were running, clearly shaken. They clung to the adult, still crying. The kitchen looked empty, but the feeling it left behind was far from normal. Paranormal Encounter.
Something just took my hand.
2 sisters were sitting together in their bedroom, laughing and talking as usual. Everything was normal until one of them suddenly felt a strong pull on her hair. Thinking it was just her sister, she turned, only to hear her sister shout that something was pulling her hair too.
Something just took my hair.
What do you mean something took
I don't know.
They both looked around, but the room was empty. No one else was inside, and the door had been closed the whole time. Something unseen had made itself known. Without speaking, they stood up and ran out of the room, leaving behind the space that no longer felt ordinary. Haunted doll. When this guy visited a haunted house, known for the spooky experience it provides its visitors, he was rather disappointed. Nothing particularly surprising happened. Well, that was until he watched the footage. In the video, one of the dolls had clearly moved. Its head was turned slightly, different from how it looked earlier. The room had been empty. No wind, no one else inside. It wasn't a trick or a camera glitch, just a quiet, unsettling moment that left him wondering what he had really captured on tape. Real La Laona. The family spent the night in the countryside, sitting close to the fire and enjoying a quiet moment together. Laughter filled the air as the camera recorded their time near the flames. But something strange appeared just beyond the light. A ghostly figure stood in the shadows, not moving, with long hair covering its face. The sound around them grew still. Some say it looked like La Llorona. When they checked the footage later, the figure was clearly visible. Their grandfather's warning about lighting fires at dawn was no longer just a story. Massive demon. He thought it would just be another quiet adventure. The abandoned prison in Nashville stood silent, forgotten by time. At first, he thought it was just the old building settling, but the sounds grew clearer, almost like voices. As he stepped closer, a heavy door behind him slowly moved. Then, in the stillness, he saw it. A dark figure standing in his path, completely still, yet staring straight at him. Creepy girl. From his terrace, a man kept hearing soft jingles echo through the night. At first, it sounded like someone walking with anklets, gently moving back and forth. Curious, he began recording. That's when he saw her, a girl dressed in white, slowly circling the same spot below. Her steps never stopped, and neither did the sound. She didn't look up, didn't speak, just kept walking. The strange part? No one in the neighborhood recognized her. People nearby later claimed she wasn't real. Many believed it wasn't a human at all, but something else. That quiet night turned into a mystery no one could forget. Strange boy. A quiet afternoon in Brazil turned into something unforgettable. A young boy stood by the door as his grandmother was just about to step outside. Without raising his voice, he shared a sudden thought. Something about danger, something about lightning. His words were calm, but carried a strange certainty. She froze, sensing something unusual in his tone. Instead of stepping out, she decided to wait. Just seconds later, lightning struck the very spot she would have stood. The moment felt far too exact to call it a coincidence. Those who heard the story couldn't forget it. It felt like a quiet warning had come through him. Was it really a normal child? Unseen force. It started off like any normal visit. A young boy was sitting quietly in his grandma's room, talking and laughing. But then she paused, looked around slowly, and asked, "Why are there so many women here?" The boy glanced around. There was no one else. The room was completely empty. He felt a chill, unsure of what she meant. And then, out of nowhere, something unseen grabbed him. He couldn't see anything, but he felt a strong pull, like someone was trying to drag him away. Scared, he broke free and ran out of the room. That moment stayed with him, quiet, strange, and hard to forget. Child mystery. This home security camera recorded something no one expected. The footage shows a toddler walking towards one room. But before he walks into the room, there's another figure just like him that enters through the same door. Here, watch for yourself. When the parents watched the video, claims that they dismissed the encounter, thinking it is just their assumption until they saw the clip. And now, everything has been made clear for them. Ritual gone wrong. This quiet-looking room became the center of something no one expected. A man was seen sitting on the mat, calmly performing a ritual with bowls and candles arranged around him. Everything seemed still, until a sudden noise shook the air. Without warning, the door in front of him cracked and fell forward, as if something had pushed it from the other side with great force. The man was startled, unsure of what had just happened. People say he was trying to control a jinn, but instead, something else may have answered. The video left many viewers with questions. Nothing else in the room moved, and yet that door seemed to respond like it had been hit by something invisible. Let's move towards our subscribers' pick of the day. They were just beginning to feel at home when something unexpected stirred the night. The man woke to the soft sound of a child crying. Stepping into the hallway, he spotted a small figure, one that looked just like his son, wandering ahead. He quietly called out and began to follow. But before he got far, his wife's voice stopped him. She was behind him, saying their son hadn't moved and was still in bed. The next morning, the footage confirmed it, a gentle, childlike figure drifting silently through the hall. They chose to believe it brought a quiet blessing to their new beginning. And with that, see you next time.